Morning everyone, and welcome to Grade 4 News. Today's stories will cover literacy, maths and integrated studies. In literacy, we will find out what we all got up to during the school holidays by writing a recount, yeah! And in maths, we will be looking at inverse operations and connecting decimals with fractions. And finally, in integrated studies, we will be looking at a new topic, forces. So let's go to our first story. Alright, so in your learner packs, you should have a recount template worksheet which looks something like this. Here's one I've already started. So I drew a little picture there and I wrote, in the first section, I went to my friend's house. So this is used just to plan and draft your recount, okay? Now the important thing about a recount is that it needs to be sequential, which means it goes in order. So first, then, next, and finally, okay? And so you just put dot points here for now. Now when you do your good copy, I expect you to write one whole page, no more than 2 pages, minimum 1 page, okay? So use this to do the dot points, just to structure your recount, and then add more information in the good copy, okay? And then after that, you should have a recount that is sequential, and hopefully it has a good punctuation. Remember your punctuation, don't forget that, okay kids? Now it's maths time. Inverse operations, what does that mean? Well, it's just a fancy way of saying check your answers by doing the opposite operation. For example, let's have a look at this sum. 3,456 plus 2,336. Let's work it out together. 6 plus 6 equals 12. Whoops. Alright, 6 plus 6 equals 12. Carry the 1. So 1 plus 5 equals 6, plus 3 equals 9, 4 plus 3 equals 7, 3 plus 2 equals 5. 5792. Now, to double check that that answer is correct, let's do an inverse operation by doing the opposite operation. So for example, we'll take the answer, 5792. And this time we're going to minus with one of these numbers, okay? So let's try 2, 3, 3, 6. Let's do this together. Okay. 2 minus 6, you can't do that. So let's borrow from the 9, that becomes an 8. This becomes 12. 12 minus 6 equals 6. 8 minus 3 equals 5. 7 minus 3 equals 4. And 5 minus 2 equals 3. And if you see here, this is the same as this, which means that this is correct. So that's inverse operations. Let's do one more example together. Let's do an easy one. Let's say 10 minus 3. We all know that's 7, yeah? Now let's take the answer. 7 plus 3 equals 10. See? It's just a fancy way of checking that you've got the right answer. Alright, now over to decimals and fractions. By now, you guys should be professionals at fractions and decimals. So this is more of a recap. Now, let's take this example. 2300. What does that mean? Well, it can also be written in 2 different ways. One, as a fraction, 23 over 100. Now, what does this line mean again? division, yeah? So if you got a calculator and did 23 divided by 100, you would get the answer 0.23, okay? So 23 hundredths is less than 1, it's 0.23. Just to further illustrate that, 23 hundredths, we'd have to color in how many of these? That's right, 23. So let's color in, that's 10, 20, 23. And that is 23 hundredths. So taking this example, apply it to the rest of the questions to solve the rest of the equations. Thank you. Now we get to integrated studies, where we'll be talking about a new topic, forces. So what is a force? Well, in simple terms, forces are what makes things move. Either by pushing or pulling. Let's have a quick look at Newton's 3 laws of motion. First of all, law number 1, or the law of inertia, states that objects in motion tend to stay in motion and objects at rest tend to stay at rest unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. Now what does that mean? Well, to illustrate it further, let's look over to this whiteboard for an example. So you're driving in the car, driving along, you're not looking, and you hit a brick wall. What happens? The car stops, but if you don't have your seatbelt on, you're going to go flying out the window like this guy. Inertia is the force that keeps going, okay? So before the crash, this passenger or driver was steady in motion, yeah, until it got acted upon by an unbalanced force, which was the brick wall. Now the inertia is the force that made the driver go through the window, okay? Now, law number 2, the law of acceleration. Let's go over here, which simply states force equals mass times acceleration, or F equals ma for the mathematicians out there. So how can we illustrate this? Oh, for example, look at this tennis ball. Now, this tennis ball has a pretty light mass because it's a very small ball. But if I applied acceleration to it, the acceleration will be equal to the amount of force I put into it if I were to throw it. Okay. Now, this actually ties in with Newton's 3rd law. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So going back to the ball, if I were to throw this ball at a brick wall, it will bounce back with the same amount of force that I applied to it. For example, oh! There you go. Newton's 3 laws of motion in practice. Yep. So that covers the news for today. Thank you for listening. Now remember kids, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me on Microsoft Teams or Seesaw. And until then, stay safe, take care of each other, and God bless. Goodbye.